Although Vita Health Group provided this exercise class provisional with your health and safety in mind, each individual participant has their own limitations and should consult their general practitioner or an appropriate medical professional prior to undertaking the class. Should you be prone to injury, are currently pregnant, or be managing any functional limiting medical conditions, please seek medical confirmation prior to participating. At all times, ensure you follow all instructions provided by Vita Health Groups throughout the entirety of the recording. Should you experience any symptoms of dizziness, nausea, or increased pain at any point during your participation, please stop and seek the appropriate advice from your general practitioner or the 111 service.
Hello and welcome to today's class. My name's Danny and I'll be your instructor today. Before we go on to our class, we are just going to run through some core principles. So first things first, we're just going to talk about breathing. So throughout our exercise classes, we do need to focus on our breathing. We need to make sure we keep it nice and slow and controlled when possible. And also when we're doing the exercises, we will run through when to breathe in and when to breathe out. But typically, we will tend to breathe out when we're doing sort of the most difficult part of the exercise or the bit where we're having to engage our abdominals. The second thing we're just going to run through is what we call finding a neutral spine. So that what this means is that when we're doing our different exercises, we've not got our pelvis in a tilted direction because that can sometimes put extra pressures on the spine. To do this, what you're going to do, you're going to make a diamond shape with your hands. You're going to put your thumbs just under the belly button and then drop the fingers down. From here, you should be able to, all 4 points of the diamond should be touching the body. If you find that the pelvis is too tilted backwards, you'll find that the bottom of the triangle isn't touching your body. So what you need to do then is try and tilt the pelvis and try and make sure that we've got all 4 points touching. Once you have, that is your neutral spine. The next thing that we're going to run through is just on engaging the core. So there's 2 different things that we're going to run through. We're going to talk about engaging our abdominal muscles, and we're also going to talk about engaging our pelvic floor. For our abdominal muscles, the best way to try and engage the muscles is to think about having a belt on and imagine that you're trying to pull the belt a little bit tighter. So you're trying to squeeze in so that you can get the belt onto that next notch. When you're doing that movement, you'll be able to feel the muscles engaging. For the pelvic floor, sounds a little bit strange, but what I want you to do is try and imagine that you really need the toilet and that you're trying to keep it in. And what you'll feel is you'll feel all of the muscles contract in your pelvic floor. So when we're going through all these exercises, I want you to really try and focus on squeezing those abdominals like you've got a tight belt on, and also squeezing that pelvic floor like you really need the toilet. One of the other things to think about is our rib cage placement. So again, when we're doing these exercises, we don't want our ribs protruding. So what I mean by that is that if we were trying to stand straight, our ribs would be sort of pushed out in front of us. We want to try and keep them tucked in. To try and do this, another thing to think about is trying to bring those bottom ribs down towards your hips. So you're almost imagining that you're trying to shorten that distance, and that'll help to keep the rib cage in the right place. And the last and final thing is just to do with our head placement. So when we're doing all of our different movements, we need to make sure that we've got the neck in a nice straight line. So to do this, what I want you to try and imagine you're doing is trying to elongate the neck and then also tuck the chin in. Okay, so from the side, we should have a nice straight neck. We haven't got any chins sticking out or heads tucked down. So a nice elongated neck and chin tucked in. Okay, those are all of the different principles that I want you to think about as we move through today's class. I know there's a lot, and I will keep reminding you as we go through. The last thing is that all of the equipment that you need for today's class is going to be shown on screen just now, and then we will get started. Let's get started with our warm-up then. So with this warm-up, we're aiming to increase our heart rate, activate the muscles, increase mobility, all ready for our exercise class that's coming up. So we're going to start off nice and simple with just some marching on the spot. We're going to be doing this for 1 minute. Do it at your own pace, whether you want to go nice and slow or quite fast, completely up to you. Fab, let's get going for 1 minute then. Make sure we're swinging those arms, lifting the feet nice and high whilst we're marching. Remember, we're working to increase that heart rate. So just taking it at your own pace. That's great. Keep swinging those arms, lifting those knees nice and high. And we are nearly halfway there. That's great. Again, taking it at your own pace, just as we start the warm-up. Okay, 10 more seconds. Great, and bring that down to a stop. Brilliant. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're just going to do some jogging on the spot this time. We're only going to go for 30 seconds this time. Again, doing it at your own pace. Just make sure that you've got a nice, safe environment around you. Okay, when we're ready, off we go. Again, make sure we're moving those arms and lifting those feet nice and high off the floor. That's it, halfway there. Good, 5 seconds left. And bring it down to a stop. Brilliant. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to do some hip circles. So for this one, I want your feet sort of shoulder width apart on the floor and the hands just resting on your hips. We're going to start off with very small circles. So we're going to sort of push the hips to one side, bring them round to the front and round to the back. Again, just do them at your own pace, and also with the circle, just make it as small or as big as you can, depending on how you're feeling. We're going to go for 30 seconds. When we're ready, off we go. That's it. So just make sure we're concentrating on really pushing those hips all the way around the movement. That's good. Because we're coming up to halfway, we're going to switch and go in the opposite direction. Again, like I said, if you need to do small circles with how you're feeling at the moment, that's absolutely fine. Or nice and big circles, doesn't matter. Great, and come to a stop. Okay, for the next exercise, we're going to go into doing some leg swings. For this one, I'm going to do it just freestanding, but if you need to, you can hold onto a wall, hold onto the back of a chair, whichever works best for you. We're going to start off with our right leg. So again, like I said, holding onto something for stability if needs be. We're going to go for 30 seconds. We're just going to lift the leg out in front of us and then slowly lift behind. Okay, off we go. So just swinging that leg at your own pace. Like I said, if you need to hold on to something, then that's absolutely fine. Good. That's great. Keeping the knee nice and straight. And just swinging back and forwards. That's it. We've got 5 seconds left on this leg. And then we'll switch over. Great. Okay. So if you need to swing the chair around to the other side or reposition yourself so that you can hold onto the wall the opposite way, that's fine. And then we'll go for 30 seconds again. So on the left leg this time, swinging back and forth. That's great. Again, just doing it at your own pace, lifting the leg in a range of movement that's comfortable for you. Good. Okay, 10 seconds left on this leg. Great, and come to a stop, just back into our resting position. So the next activity that we're going to do is going to be with our arms. We're going to go for some arm circles. So what we'll do, we'll start off with our right arm because we started with our right leg. We'll pop our hand out to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with some circles, just going backwards like this. If you need to do the circles nice and small, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, if you can, then we're going to do nice big circles. with the arm. Again, just do whatever feels comfortable for you at the moment. And again, we're going to go for 30 seconds. That's it. Like I said, make sure we're doing this one in a comfortable range of movement. It can be as small or as big as you need at the moment. That's great, we've done 15 seconds on this arm. That's great, last 5 seconds. Brilliant, okay. And this time we're going to do the exact same on the left arm. So again, arm out to the side, you can do small circles if you need to, obviously big ones if you can as well. Fab, off we go, 30 seconds on this one. That's great. Again, just going at the speed that sort of works for you at the moment. If you need to move nice and slowly through this movement, that's fine. Obviously, if you can, then obviously we'll go a bit quicker. That's great, and just 5 more seconds. Perfect, okay. Last exercise of our warm-up, we're going to do some movements with our spine. So we're going to work in 4 different directions. We're going to go for a forward movement, a backwards movement, and then side to side as well. So what I'll do first is I'll show you what we're going to do, and then I'll explain how many we're going to do after that. So we're going to have the feet shoulder width apart again. For the forwards movement, I'd like you to have your hands resting on the front of your legs. And then what I want you to do nice and slowly is just come down as far as you can until you start to feel that bit of a stretch in the lower back, and then return up to your neutral position. Then we'll go for the opposite. So this time I'll turn to the side to show you, you're going to lean backwards. Again, just a gentle movement, and back up to the neutral position. Then hands down by our sides. It doesn't matter which side you do first, but you're going to bend over to the side, back up, and over to the other side. We're going to do 5 in each direction. Again, just going as far as you can. Okay, we'll do them all together. So if we start at the front, we're going to come down, just go as far as you can, and then back up to that neutral position. Then we're going to lean back, again to the neutral position, hands down by our sides, drop one hand down the side of the leg, back up, and then over to the side. So that's 1 repetition. So now we'll go for our second. So again, we're going to come back down the front, nice and slowly and controlled. And then this time lean backwards. That's great. And then down to one side, back up and over into the other direction. Brilliant. On to number 3. So back to the front, coming down as far as you can, and back up, and then leaning back and back into that neutral position. Hands down by our sides, and we'll go over to one side and back up, then over to the other side and back up. And now for number 4, back to the front, leaning forwards and back up. Hands on our hips, and we'll lean backwards, back to our neutral position and down to one side and back over to the other direction. Brilliant, last one now, hands back on the front. We're going to lean down as far as we can, back up to the middle, hands on our hips, and lean back to the middle, and then this time we'll drop down one side, back up, and then down to the other side. Okay, that completes our warm-up. So if you want to go and grab a bottle of water ready for our exercise class, and we'll get started. Okay, this exercise that we're going to do is called the bird dog. What we're going to do is we're going to do 8 repetitions and 2 sets. But once we've on our final repetition of each set, we're also going to do some pulses with the leg. I'll explain all of that when we're on the mats and in the right positions. So what we need to do for this exercise, we need to be on all 4s on the mat. So just take your time getting down. If you need to pause the video whilst we get into that position, then feel free. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be in an all 4s position on the mat. So I want the hands directly below the shoulders and the knees directly below the hips. So we're in this sort of tabletop all four position. What we're going to do from here is nice and slowly, we're going to lift one leg out behind us whilst also lifting the opposite arm out in front. Okay, and the whole time I want you to try and keep the spine nice and parallel to the floor. Okay, so for this one you really need to engage those core muscles, and we'll go nice and slowly lifting the arms out. We're going to do the same side for 8 repetitions, and then we'll do some pulses with the leg like this at the end of the set. Okay, so let's start with our right hand and our left leg. From here, we'll go nice and slowly up for number 1 and back down. And again, make sure the movement is nice and controlled. That's it. Good, make sure we're squeezing that core the whole time. Good. And then on this next one, we're going to come out into that position, bring the arm back down, but leave the left leg. And we're going to do 10 little pulses up and down with the left leg. Keeping the spine nice and straight. Good. And then relax from there. Okay, before we move on to the opposite side, we're going to have a little rest. So take 20 seconds, get yourself a drink of water if you need one, and then we'll come back to do the other side. Okay, so let's go onto our opposite side. So this time, again, we'll be in that all fours position. Hands directly below the shoulders, knees directly below the hips. And this time, we're lifting the left arm and we're lifting the right foot. Okay, so remembering to keep this core nice and tight, try and keep the spine parallel to the floor if you can. Okay, and we'll go nice and slowly, 8 repetitions, and then we'll do those pulses on the last repetition. Okay, so arm and leg out and back in. Nice and slowly and controlled. If you feel like you're a little bit wobbly, just take your time, or maybe don't lift the arms and legs as high, and you'll be able to work up to that. Okie doke. So on this one, we're going to bring the arm back down, leave the right leg out behind us, and then we're going to do 10 of those little pulses, making sure to keep breathing nice and slowly through the movement. Great. Okay. So that's our bird dog exercise complete. If you do want another drink of water, then please feel free to go and get one, and we'll come back in 20 seconds for our next exercise. Okay, for this exercise, we're going to do Pilates press-ups with some added shoulder taps in there. So with the press-up, there are a lot of different variations that we can do, but what we're going to do today is we're going to start off on our knees for the press-up. If you feel like that's a bit too beginner for you, then by all means you can go into a full press-up position. If not, then we'll stick to our knees. So we're going to get down onto the floor, and we're going to have our feet together, knees together, and then we're going to go forwards into our sort of press up position. Okay, from here, what we're going to do, I want the hands sort of directly under the shoulders. You're going to bend the elbows into your sides like this, and then push yourself back up. When we get to the top, that's when we're going to do our shoulder tap movement. So what I want you to try and do from here, keeping the core engaged, is lift one hand to tap the other shoulder, and then the other over to the other side, and that is 1 repetition. Okay, we're going to go for 5 repetitions for the first set, and then we'll go again for a second set. Okay, so from here, off we go. We're going to come down, push ourselves back up, and then we're going to go for the shoulder taps. It doesn't matter which shoulder you do first, whichever feels most comfortable. And then into our second, and shoulder tap. Great, and into our third. Brilliant, keeping that core nice and tight and keeping that breathing nice and steady. Great, that's number 4. And back down for number 5. Shoulder taps. Great, okay, and you can relax from there. And then, like I said, we're going to take a quick 20-second break, grab some water if you need some, and then we'll come back for our second set. Okay, let's go for our second set then. We're going to do the exact same movement again, and we're going to go for 5 repetitions again. Okay, so into that press up position. Like I said before, if you find that this is too easy for you at the moment, you can push up into a full press up position. But just make sure that that's sort of at the right level for you at the moment. So hands behind, hands underneath the shoulders. Then we're going to come down to the floor, push ourselves back up, and shoulder taps. Okay, keeping that core engaged and keeping that breathing nice and steady. Number 3. Good, and then the last one. Great, well done. Okay, we're going to have another 20-second break now. If you need some more water, then go and get some more water, and then we'll come back for our next exercise. Okay, let's get started on our second set of this exercise. So we're going to come back into that press up position. Like I said before, if you find that this is too easy in this position, then you can try in a full press up position, but just sort of have a look and see what feels right for you at this moment in time. So hands underneath the shoulders, and we're going to come down to the floor, back up, and then shoulder taps. Keeping that core nice and engaged throughout the whole movement, and keeping that breathing nice and steady. Okay, number 4. And last one. Great. Well done. Okay, so we're going to take another 20-second break if you feel like you need one. Grab a glass of water, and then we'll be back for another exercise. Okay, for this exercise, we're going to be doing a side plank with some added rotation. So we're going to go down to the floor again. So take your time getting down to the floor. And we're going to do a side plank on an extended arm this time. So we're not going to drop down onto our elbow. We're going to be up on our wrist. If you find that that is too much for you, then you can drop down to resting on your elbow if you find that that's slightly easier. Doesn't matter which side you start off with. We're going to do 5 rotations on each side, and we'll take a bit of a rest in between the 2. So we're going to have our hand on the floor again, hand directly below the shoulder. It just helps with stability. Legs out to the side. I find it easiest to rest the foot on top. Other arm out straight. And then from here, we're just going to rotate in as far as you can and back out. Okay. That's 2, keeping the core nice and engaged. If you find this slightly too difficult, you can split the feet, like so, and that just gives you, again, a bit more stability. And 5. Okay, and then coming back into our resting position. Like I said, you can go and get yourselves some water. We're gonna have 20 seconds, and then we'll come back to do the other side. Okay, let's get started on the other side then. So the exact same thing. Like I said, there's a few variations. You can either be up on the hand, down on the elbow, feet on top of each other, or one in front of the other. Just find which one works best for you at the moment and stick with that position. So we're going to have the hand out to the side, directly below the shoulder, then feet out, extended. Again, you can have them split or on top of each other, whichever you find is most comfy for you. Arm up and rotate through. And back up and rotate through. I find it easier to look at my hand so that you're sort of opening the chest up all the way. Good, and keeping that core engaged. Okay, brilliant. Fab. We're just going to jump into 20 seconds more rest. And if you do need a glass of water or anything like that in that rest, make sure you grab one, and then we'll come back for the next exercise. Okay, this next exercise that we're going to get into is called the leg pull plank. So we're going to be down on our mat again, so take your time to get down to the floor. We're going to go into a press up position. This time we're not going to be on our knees, we're going to go up onto our feet. So the hands are going to come directly below the shoulders, and then we're going to push up onto our feet, keeping the spine parallel with the floor, engaging that core, and then from here what we're going to do, one leg at a time, we're just going to lift, squeezing the glute muscles, and back down. And then lift the opposite leg, and back down. We're going to do 6 on each leg, and so 12 in total. And then we'll have a quick break, and then we'll go into doing 12 again. Okay, so when you're ready, get yourself into the starting position, and then we'll go for 12 repetitions. So squeezing the core, lift the leg, and back down, lift, and back down. Good. Okay, keep that breathing nice and steady. Great. And then once we've done 12, let's come down into that resting position. And then, like I said, we're going to have 20 seconds of break. Grab yourself a drink if you need one, and then we'll come back to do 12 more. Okay, and let's go in then for set 2. So exactly the same thing. We're going to go back up into that press up position, and we're squeezing those glute muscles to lift the legs from the floor one at a time. Okay, we're going to go for 12 repetitions. If you feel that 12 is too much for you at the moment, just do as many as you can, and then just have a little rest, wait for the video to catch up, and then we'll go on. So hands directly below the shoulders, up into that press up position, squeezing that core nice and tight, and we're going to go for 12. Make sure we're controlling that breathing. Squeezing that core and the glutes. And like I said, if you feel like 12's too much for you, then just stop and wait for the video to catch up. Okay, so we're going to have 20 seconds rest. Again, grab yourself a drink if you need one, and then we'll move on to our next exercise. Okay, for this exercise, we're going to be doing the single leg bridge. We're going to be doing 10 on each leg, but we're going to break it down so that we're going to do 5 on each leg as one set, and then we'll have a little bit of a rest and then do the other 5 on each leg in the second set. So for this exercise, we need to be down on the mat. So take your time getting down to the floor. If you need to pause the video whilst we get into that position, then feel free. Okay, so we're going to be sitting on the mat with our knees bent up, knees sort of shoulder width apart, and then you're going to lay back onto the mat. Okay, our head and shoulders are going to stay on the floor throughout this whole exercise, as well as our hands down by our side. What we're going to do is we're going to alternate each leg with each repetition. So we're going to push up on, say, our right leg, and then the next repetition we would do on our left leg. So for our right leg, we're going to lift the opposite leg off the floor, and then from here we're just pushing with our right leg up into a bridge position and then back down. Then we're going to swap legs and up on the left leg. That's our first repetition, so let's go for 4 more. So from here up into your bridge, squeezing your core and squeezing your glutes to get you up there. Swap legs and push up. Okay, now for repetition number 3. And up on the left leg. That's great. And into number 4. You're just pushing up as high as you can at the moment, keeping that back nice and straight. Okay, last one for this first set, and then come into your relaxed position. Okay, we're going to take a 20-second break. If you need to grab a drink of water or anything like that, then feel free, and then we'll come back to do the second set. Okay, back for set number 2. We're going to do the same thing. So coming into that lying down position with our knees bent up, shoulders and head on the floor, arms down by our side on the floor as well. We're going to start with the right leg again like we did last time. So lifting the opposite leg up, and then we're just going to push into that bridge and then back down. Switch legs and up again and back down. Okay, let's repeat that for 4 more. So up and down, switch over, up and down, and switch. Make sure we're engaging that core, squeezing those glutes to push ourselves up. Good, and 2 more. So swap legs and up, and switch legs, up. Okay, last one on each leg. And final one. Okay, and just take your time to get back up. And well done on that exercise. So we're going to take 20 seconds again, and then grab a quick drink or anything like that. We'll come back for another exercise. Okay, moving on, we're going to go on to an exercise called the oblique curl. So we're going to be working the muscles down the side of the abdomen for this exercise. So we're going to be down on the mat again, lying on our backs. So take your time to get down into that position. We're going to lie on our backs with our knees bent up. Okay, the feet are going to go together and the knees are going to go together. Your hands are going to come up by your head, so sort of hands behind your ears almost. Then what we're going to do is we're going to drop the legs down to one side. Okay, so the knees are dropped to one side. And from here, we're going to do like a sit-up crunch movement. So we're going to pull up and then back down. We're going to do 8 of these and then we're going to switch over to the opposite side. Okay, so take your time. We're going to pull up for 1 and back down. And 2 and back down. Trying to pull up from the muscles here as opposed to pulling yourself up from the neck. Okay, and we're going to do 8. That's great. Okay, then relax and bring the knees back to your neutral position. This time, same thing, but we're going to drop the knees down to the opposite side. So the hands are going to come up by the head, drop the knees to the opposite side, and then we're going to curl up and back down. Okay, and repeat for 8 repetitions. That's it. Make sure we're controlling that breathing throughout, so in through the nose and out through the mouth. Breathing out when we pull up. That's great. Okay, and once we've done 8, come back into that relaxed position. And then we're just going to come up into a standing position. Okay, great. So what I want you to do now is take 20 seconds for a break, grab a quick drink, and then we'll come back for another exercise. Okay, for the final exercise in today's class, we're going to be doing something called straight leg hundreds. So the sets and repetitions are a little bit different for this exercise. I'm going to show you what we're doing, but then in terms of how long we're doing the exercise for, we're going to be doing it for 100 seconds. So what I want you to do in that time is really focus on your breathing and try and breathe in for 5 and out for 5 until we get all the way up to 100. Okay, so we're going to be back on the floor, so take your time getting to the floor. And we're going to be lying flat on our backs. And the legs are going to be up nice and straight, like so. Not straight up and not all the way down, so sort of around this angle. You're going to lift the shoulders off the floor, hands out in front. When I say go, we're going to do 100 seconds of bouncing the arms up and down, okay? Really focusing on breathing in for 5 and then breathing out for 5 whilst doing this movement until we get all the way to 100, okay? So when we're ready, off we go. So breathe in for 5 and out for 5. And can breathe in and back out. Okay, so continue that breathing. So breathing in for 5 and breathing out for 5, counting up to 100 for me. Keeping the legs nice and straight and keep moving these arms, keeping the core engaged and trying to keep that neck in the neutral position where we're keeping the neck nice and long, chin tucked in. And that's it, keep going. Obviously 100 seconds is quite a long time, so if at any point you feel like you need a bit of a rest, just pop your feet down and relax, and then come back up into the movement. Good, you should be able to feel those core muscles working now, as we're keeping them engaged for quite a long time. Good, keep bouncing those arms. That's good. This is the last one now, so make sure we keep pushing, keep engaging that core. Bouncing those arms up and down. And we've got about 10 seconds left, so breathe in for 5. And back out for 5. That's great, and then relax from there for me. Okay, take your time to get back up into your standing position. That's great, okay, and like I said, that's the last exercise of today's class. So what I want you to do is take 20 seconds, have a quick drink of water, and then we'll come back for our final cool down. Okay, let's get started with our cool down. So with the cool down, we're going to be focusing on bringing that heart rate back down, bringing our breathing rates back down, and sort of just relaxing the muscles after the class that you've done. So we're going to start off nice and easy with 30 seconds of deep breathing. So for the breathing, I'd really focus on breathing in through the nose and then breathing back out through the mouth. We're wanting those nice deep breaths. So when we are breathing in, try and think about sort of filling the rib cage, and then obviously releasing on the breath out. Okay, we're going to go for 30 seconds all together. Off we go. So like I said, breathing in through the nose and back out through the mouth. And make sure, like we said, we're really trying to fill that rib cage with air when we're breathing in, and then breathing out nice and slowly. You might find that at the moment, because you've just finished the exercises, that it's a bit difficult to slow that breathing rate down, but just go at your own pace. Okay, fab. What we're going to go on to next, again, nice and easy, we're going to go on to some walking on the spot. So in the warm-up before, we were obviously trying to increase our heart rate with the marching and the jogging. This time we're trying to bring it back down. So we're going to go nice and slowly and just walk on the spot. Okay, for 30 seconds, off we go. That's great. So still swinging those arms like we were before, but obviously just in a bit more of a relaxed position on this one, and going a little bit slower. That's great. That's halfway there. Five more seconds. Great, okay, this time we're going to move on to doing some hip circles. So we did these in our warm-up before, but again, a bit like the walking, we're going to bring the pace down on this one. So we're going to have the feet shoulder width apart, hands on the hips, and again, make the circles as small or as big as you can. And we're just going to go big circles with the hips, nice and slowly. We're going to do 30 seconds all together. Off we go. So bringing the pace down a little bit on this one, just moving through the full movement, nice and slowly. We can still concentrate on our breathing in these cool down exercises. So really trying to slow that breathing down. 10 more seconds. Great, okay. For the next movement, we're going to be going down to the floor. So take your time getting down. If you need to hold on to something, then do that. Nice and carefully onto the floor. And we're going to have the feet out in front, legs nice and straight. I want you to try and keep the knees as straight as possible with this one. And then we're going to rest the hands on front of the thighs. From here, we're just going to slide down the legs just as far as you can. And we want to grip on to our legs as close as we can to our ankles, and we're going to hold that stretch for 30 seconds. Okay, so moving down just as far as you can, and then let's hold for 30 seconds. Off we go. Still focusing on that breathing when we're doing this movement, so breathing nice and slowly in and out, and we should feel that nice gentle stretch down the back of the legs. We're halfway there. Ten seconds left. And 5 seconds. Okay, and sit back up into that relaxed position. We're going to get ourselves back up into a standing position, but again, take your time. If you need to hold on to something to help you get up, then that's absolutely fine. Okie doke. Once we're up then, for the next movement, we're going to be doing some stretches, mobility work for the middle back. So we're going to have the feet shoulder width apart again. The hands this time are going to come up behind the head. And we're going to be doing 4 different movements. So we're going to be coming down into a forward position, back up and into a slightly extended position. Then we're also going to do some flexion to the side, back up into a middle position and over to the side. Okay, we might add in a little bit of rotation too, just to stretch a few extra muscles. We're going to go for 30 seconds. I want you to go at your own pace and we're just going to move through all those different movements, just making sure that we're stretching all the right muscles. Okay, off we go all together. So coming forwards, back up into that slightly extended position, and back down, over to the sides, and then rotating. That's great. And again, we're going to move slightly forwards and up and slightly back. Then we're going to lean to the sides. And again, we might go slightly over 30 seconds, but we want to get all those movements back in. And the final rotation. Okay, and then bring the arms back down into our neutral position. We're going to finish off by doing 30 seconds of our deep breathing again. So we're going to go in through the nose, out through the mouth, make sure we're trying to fill that rib cage there, and then release. Okay, off we go. So hopefully this breathing will be sort of easier now. Hopefully you'll be breathing that a little bit slower. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, really trying to fill that rib cage with air. Back down. Brilliant. Okay, well done everyone. So thank you for attending our exercise class today. We hope you've enjoyed it and we hope to see you very soon on our next session. Thank you.